Hello students, I hope you all are very good. Last time we have already discussed chapter number 5, Landform of the Earth, their introduction. This is your introduction. Last time already we have discussed what is geomorphology and how it is formed, landforms, and we also discussed about this uh, diagram. This diagram, this is the diagram. Then northern hemisphere, southern hemisphere, there are continents. This all about we already discussed last time, and the maximum part is the landforms and like. So today I'm going to explain you about the formation of landforms, how these landforms are formed. So today we are discussing landforms are the formed by the two process. So how these lands are formed? Basically, these are process or these are formed by these two processes. It is the exogenic or endogenic process. Which two processes? Endogenic or exogenic, or the exogenic or the endogenic. So we study in detail. First of all, we discuss about the exogenic, or it is also called the external process. Why it is called external? Because just like this is the earth. So on the surface of the earth, what are the changes? What are the landforms are formed? By this external process, external force. So these landforms which possess on these landforms on the surface of the earth, that's why it is called the exogenic or the external process. Process that act on the earth process or the earth surface, where it is processed on the earth surface or by the earth processes, done through different agents. Like how these landforms are formed by this exogenic process, by these different agents. What are the agents? Basically just like those they are helping to do work, they are called the agents. So which are that? They are the rivers, glaciers, wind and waves. So these all are the agents which help to change the landforms. And what they form? They form valleys, lowlands, ridges, mountains. Okay, so these all are the exogenic process, and these all are the agents by which this exogenic process held on. And what is the specialty of this? This is very slow, gradual over a long period. This exogenic process is very slow and gradual. It means very slowly, because the river, the ocean, the glaciers, the wind waves, they are touching to the surface of the earth, and by these again and again rubbing by the crushing, they are grading these earth surface into a small particles. That's why this process is very slow and gradual, and that's why it takes too much long time. That's why it is also the long period process. Changes can be observed like erosional by rivers. So you know very well what is the erosion. Erosion, it means whenever a material is kept here, so it is carried out from one place to another, it is called erosion. So erosion by the rivers and effects of weathering. Weathering, it means breaking down of the rock. Just like this is the rock, due to the high temperature and other agents, this is breaking down into small pieces. This is called the weathering. So now this is exogenic or the external process. Now this exogenic, how? This is done by these three processes: weathering, erosion and deposition. These all three processes are interlinked together. You just always remember, these all are interlinked. Just like weathering, which I already explained you. Weathering, it means just like there is a piece of stone, piece of rock. When the heat is applying on it by the sun, it expands, it contracts, and again due to this contraction and relaxation, these these rocks break down, and they break into small pieces or small particles. This process is called weathering. Okay, you don't confuse in the weather and weathering. Weather, it is the climatic phenomena. Okay, this weather is the climatic phenomena, and weathering, it is the process, or it is the process of breaking down of the rock. So always remember these two processes, weather and weathering. How this process help, or how this process done? By the physical, chemical, biological and humans. Physical, first of all, physical, as I already told you, just like there is a piece of stone, on it the intense heat is applying due to the sun. Due to this intense heat, the rock is becoming expanded, and at the night it cools and it contracted. So due to day and night, because of sunlight and at the time of night, the coolness, okay, so in the daytime it expands and in the night time it contracts. Due to again repetition of this process, due to repetition of this process, it create some cracks in this rock, and finally after some period of time it is break down into a small pieces or in the small particles. This process is called weathering, or by the physical weathering. What we called physical weathering. Second one, it is the chemical, because we know very well that this rock is a composition of different minerals. This rock is not formed by any one kind of material, so it is having a different types of minerals. Already you have studied in chemistry, okay. So because of a different chemicals composition, this is also having a different types of chemicals, and it also reacts with a different chemicals, either like air, either water, either some different agents, okay. So when it reacts with water, air, or any other material, so it starts corrosion. Just like if there is a presence of iron in this rock, so what will happen? It corrode. And what is the corrosion? Corrosion, it means the degrading. Their rock is degrading. Because of these rock again depleted, this rock again breaking down by this chemical process. Just like one more example, one limestone. You have heard the limestone? Chuna. In Hindi it is called chuna patthar. So when this lime is coming in the contact of water, it starts dissolving. And just like you have seen many times, there are different rock forms or rock shelters, because this lime is dissolved in water by the chemical process, and remaining the hard rock is remain as it is. So that's why this is also the different this is also the reason of different land forms. So this process is called the chemical weathering. Next one, it is the biological weathering. Biological means what? Bio, it means a life. The life, this biology, the life, the animals, human beings, the different agents, either borrowing animals, either we human beings, whatever they all are also helping in the weathering. Just like we are excavating the mines, we are excavating the mines, and some borrowing animals, they make holes in the earth and they form their habitats there. And sometimes you also see some plants, the plants, their plants roots are going very deep and it also cracks the stone rocks, and due to it the rocks is breaking down. So these are the different agents. What are these different agents? Either I say that the animals, either I say that the plants, either I say that the human beings. So different these agents are also helping in the breaking down of the rocks. This process is called the biological weathering. And humans, either we can write in separate, because we are always think we are the special one, but in biology you have studied very well, the human beings are also animals, okay. So either you write in separate form or either you write in the biological weathering. So I hope you understand this all: physical weathering, chemical weathering, biological weathering, and human, okay, by the help of human. Next one, it is the erosion. Next one, it is the erosion. Just like when these rock or stone is breaking down into smaller pieces, but it is still remain there, it will not transport. When these boulders, these stones pieces are transported from one place to another, this is called the erosion. So now understand what is the simple, this is a very simple process. What is the erosion? When these breaking down or the uh, that weathered material is displaced or the transported from one place to another, this process is called the erosion. Clear? Now see, what are the agents which are helpful? So by the running water, I hope you know, at the time of rainy season, you see many times the running water in the river, it is very muddy. Why? Because at the coastal side or at the bank of river, the mud and the different particles, stone particles, are mixed with water and it will erode from one place to another. So by the running water, by the groundwater, either in the inside the earth there is a groundwater, glacier, just like you have seen the mountains, a huge amount of ice is deposited, it's called the glaciers. When it is displaced from the mountain ranges, so what will happen, it also eroded some amount of boulder, some amount of rock. So that's why this glacier is also helpful. Next one is the waves and currents. So you have see the different waves in the water body and the current. There's a basic difference between in the waves and current. Waves are having this upliftment and the current is flowing water in the ocean. Okay, so this current is not your electric current, this current, it is the flowing of water in the ocean, it is called the current. So these are also, because either you see that the surface of the water is not eroded, but underground, just like this is the ocean. In the downside you can see that the small particles, small boulders are also there. So along with these water currents, along with these waves, these is also transported. So this is by the help of waves and currents. And last one, it is the winds. You know very well, in the I think you all most of you all are visited in the Rajasthan region. So in Rajasthan, you must have seen that there are some dunes. It is called sand dunes. How these forms? These sand dunes are formed due to the erosion, because the soil, just like here, these are the soil particles which are transported by wind and then it collected from here. Then this structure is formed like that, and here it is the plain surface. So by this way, these landforms are formed. So wind is also helpful in the erosion. And the last one is the deposition. What is the deposition? I'm giving a very small example. Have you bank account? Do you have bank account? Maybe you or maybe your parents are having the bank account. What is the meat of this bank account? For the deposit of money. I know you all are having enough money, but in this earth, so many people are having not enough money. So please help them. It's also my kind request. Okay, so I'm come on the point again. Just like in the bank account, we are depositing money. What we are depositing? Money. We are depositing money. So same like that, deposition, it means the weathered material, which is breaking down material, it is transported from one place to another, but it is collected in another place where the area is lower. Just like before 2 minutes, I am giving one example, this sand dunes. Okay, so when the material which is here is eroded here in the lower side, and this material is deposited here, so and deposited, and then this becomes a plain surface here. Okay, so this process, it is called the deposition. When the eroded materials are carried out from the higher region, it will collect in the lower region. This collection of weathered material is called the deposition. It is also with the help of, by the running water, the same agents, groundwater, the glaciers, waves and currents and winds. So don't confuse in both things. Erosion, it means the transportation. Remember, erosion is mean transportation and deposition means the collection. Okay, I hope you understand. So now I am moving forward. Next one, it is the endogenic or the internal process. What is the next one? Endogenic or the internal process. In this endogenic or the internal process, the process operated interior of the earth. Where it is operated? In the interior of the earth. In the interior of the earth crust, you can see that this type of process. And whenever, it's my also one suggestion, whenever you study anything, first of all you just see the word internal. By the word you can easily understand. Internal means the inside the earth. So the process operated interior of the earth. Effect shows sudden. In the above one exogenic we have seen the slow process, but here it is the sudden, immediate. Okay, like earthquake, volcano and tidal activity. But mountain building is a slow process. Maybe you are in confusion, but in the plate tectonic theory it is by the internal process. Slowly these earthquakes are displacing inside the earth, and suddenly they are making some basically it is inside the earth. So in the after some period of time it forms some outgrowths or the upliftment of the these tectonic plates. Then what will happen? They forms mountains. So that's why this mountain building is the slow process only, but remaining one it is about the earthquake, volcano, tidal. These all are the fast process, or we can say that the sudden processes. It can't be observed, but effect may be visible. These I'm talking about these mountain buildings. You cannot see, but it is the observed. Endogenic movement is slow or sudden. This endogenic movement is either slow or sudden. So I am discussing in detail about this slow and sudden movement. Slow movement. So I am discussing about this slow movement in the form of takes time to complete, sorry, takes time to complete process. As by the word we can understand slow movement, it means the movement is very slow. The movement is very slow. It also of two types, vertical and horizontal. Vertical it means in the this longitudinal part, and this horizontal it means the latitudinal part. Okay, if any movement which is above or either downside, if landform just like the mountain is formed above or either in the downside, these type of landforms are called the vertical movement. Or by the horizontal, by the different external forces in the horizontal way, this is called the horizontal. So in first we discuss the vertical or the apirogenic movement. What is it called? Vertical or the apirogenic movement. In the Greek word epiros means the continent. What is epiros? Continent. That's why called the continent building. That's why this vertical movement is also called the continent building. In the last lecture I already explained what is the continent. Just like the islands, they are big land masses which is called the continents. In this movement, rising or shrinking of the crust over a large area without fracturing or folding of the rocks. In the next horizontal we'll see there are two processes. It is called fracturing and the folding. But in this vertical movement there is no such fracturing and no folding of rocks. Without fracturing and without folding rocks, example Africa is formed by this vertical apirogenic movement. Next one, it is the horizontal or the orogenic movement. Horizontal or the orogenic movement. By compressional forces or the tensional forces, there are two forces, either compressional or either the tensional. Compressional forces formed fold mountain. How this? Now see, this is the structure of landforms. Generally, on the surface of the earth crust, you see this such type of land structures. Okay, this is only piece of land, but it is all over the earth surface. Just like this is the earth, and the complete earth is covered with these small fragments. These are called these plate tectonics. So what happened? This is the structure. It is a small piece. For the example I showing you how this force works. So what is compressional force works? So when these both sides, from both the sides, the force is applied. Now you are also in confusion. Who is pushing these both the sides? So I already explained you this plate tectonics. It means the small fragments of the plates, or which is the lane surface. Okay. So this plate is pushing here. This plate is pushing here. So in center, this plate is compressed by these both the plates. Okay, so don't confuse who is compressing. Okay, the other plates which are attached with it, they are compressing. So I hope you understand. Just like this is the one piece, another piece also here, another piece is also here. Okay, so these both lane masses or the plate tectonics pushes this part, and what will happen? Now see, when this compressional force applied, these structures banded, or it is also called the folded. So it is called the folding. This process is called the folding. So when the compressional force is applied, when the compressional force is applied by the other plate tectonic plates, then these landforms are uplifted and downlifted. This uplifted or the downlifted. The uplifted part, it is called the anticline. In the downlifted part, it is called the syncline. Okay, so you always remember what is syncline and what is anticline. A very simple way by this learning. Anti means just opposite. It is a plane surface, it's opposite anticline. Okay, it means it is the above structure. And the syncline, shing means what? Getting down. So this is syncline, which is the lower part. So by this folding, they are formed. So now this upward formed, this formed a mountain. This is also called the fold mountain. What is it called? This is also called this structure, it is also called the fold mountain. And this anticline is also the structure. Okay, anticline and syncline, it is the geographical structure. And finally the structure which is generally called as mountains, which call mountains? Fold mountains. So I already explained you, compressional force act from two opposite direction. From this two opposite direction, so rocks get folded. The center rock folded. Then anticline, it is upfolded, and the syncline, it is downfolded. Okay, it is folded, upfolded, or we also simply say that uplifted or downlifted. Okay. Then in past, mountains are formed by the geological process. These fold mountains are formed by this geological process. I already explained you in the first lecture what is geological. Geological means the geo means earth. Okay, geological process by the earth process. Okay, now they're talking about the second force. First force you already discussed, it is the compressional force. Compressional force. Now I'm talking about the tensional force. The same process, there is no need to be tension if in the same part of land, sometimes when the crystal rocks are subjected to horizontal compressional force, the rocks do not get folded. What will happen? As I already told you, if these rocks are in the bending nature, so it can bend, it can fold. But if they're crystal rock, it means it is formed with the crystals. Okay, so it is not in the nature of folding. So what will happen when the compressional force is applied? So it creates too much tension, and if they are having some cracks over here, so what will happen? It starts cracking. It is called faulting. Okay, I hope you understand. There is nothing change, only the change is the structure is compressed, or the structure is composed by these crystal rocks. When this compressional force is too much, but it these landforms does not sustain that much tension or that much compressional force, what will happen? And it also having some cracks, you know, the different uh, weak holes or loops. Okay, what will happen? The compressional force applied, and due to it will cracked, and this is completely broken down. Now this is also called the fault. these lines, it is called the fault. So maybe question will come, what is fault? So I think you understand what is fault. So what is the fault? The line of fracture, the line of fracture is called fault. I think you sometimes you fall down or some problems in your bone, so some cracks are there, na? It is called fracture. My bone is has my bone is fractured. So what is the fracture? It is a fault, but not your bone is not fault, it is the fault. Now actually what is the fault? What will happen when these landforms are cracked? So these land where it is cracked, it is either uplifted or either the downlifted. Now how? See, so now if this place it is cracked, so it will slowly go down, this area is go down, and some part is uplifted. So you can see there are two parts, just like in the above in the last part we have seen that the anticline and syncline, but here it is not anticline and syncline, it is here different part. So where there is a above uplifted part, it is called host, and where the downlifted part, where the landslides is happen, landslide you know I think very well. So where the landslide is happen, this is called the graben. Okay, and where this uplifted part, it is called the block mountain. Just like in the fold there is a fold mountain, here it becomes a block, that's why it is called the block mountain. In the lower part it is called the rift valley. I think you must have heard about the rift valleys. So this area or this place, it is called the rift valley. What is the rift valley? Simply, in between two higher places there is a narrow place, narrow channels like structure, it is called the rift valley. It is due to faulting, it is formed due to the faulting. So the crust between two faults may get depressed or uplifted by movement along the fault portion between the faults get depressed to form long valley called the rift valley. I hope you understand. And the last topic of this module, it is the sudden movement. What is sudden movement? By the word we can understand sudden, it means immediately. Movement caused by the sudden endogenic forces coming from the deep within the earth, it is caused sudden. Immediately, if what will happen? There is a movement caused by sudden endogenic, means the inside, the force coming from deep within the earth. You, I think you have in the last classes you have studied the structure of the earth crust. Center there is the core, then mantle, then the crust. Okay, so deep inside. Okay, when there is a movement, so the crust is displacing and this shows some movement, this is called the sudden movement. Okay, what are these? Volcanic eruption and the earthquake are called the extreme event. What is it called? Extreme event, and become the disastrous hazard in the densely populated region. Yes, you know very well, either the volcano and earthquake you also study in detail in the further chapters, but now you in short you know very well what is this volcanoes, and earthquakes, it is the shaking of earth. So these two are very disastrous hazard where there the population is very high. Now let me ask one question. Is these two, which one two? Volcano or the earthquake are good or bad? Just think. What is the answer? Is it good or bad? Yes, maybe you are thinking, obviously, sir, this is the bad. Why? Because it is destructing. But my answer is just opposite of you. What is this? These volcano and these earthquakes are the constructive, not the destructive. Now let me show why. Geological, these sudden forces are termed as a constructive force. It is wrong? No, it is not wrong. Constructive force because they create relief features. Yes, now let me explain you why it is constructive. Because the God will never tell you you have to make a very long buildings, a big houses, a big factories. They don't want, and they never tell you because the nature does not want this. And we are making these long and high buildings, constructed roads, constructed things because of our facilities, not for the God, not for the nature. Nature does not want. Okay, so that's why when the earthquake or the volcano is happened, it creates some landforms. So that's why it is called the constructive forces, because just like there is a volcano erupted, so it erupt so many types of minerals, rocks, so many things, and it creates some landforms, plateaus, plains, either precious metals. In earthquake, when the earth is shaking, many landforms are formed. Okay, so that's why these two, volcano and the earthquake, are the constructive forces. But for our purpose, we think that it is the destructive. Destructive for the population, but it is constructive for the land forms. Always remember. So now come on the last, what I explained you in the short. I hope you understand what are the things I explained you. By these last part, you can remind the whole lecture. Endogenic forces. Endogenic forces is divided into slow and sudden movement. Slow movement is also of two types, vertical and horizontal. The vertical is also called epiogenic, or horizontal is called the orogenic. Let me give you 1 minute. And this vertical is also of two types, upward and downward, which I told, vertical either the upward or either the downward. Then horizontal is also of force by compression or by the tensional force. Compressional force formed fold mountains, and tensional force formed block mountains, and sudden movement formed two, volcanic and eruption. So I hope you understand this whole lecture properly. So now we move to the next first landforms. It is called mountains. I hope you enjoy this lecture, you understand this lecture. Thank you so much. We will meet next